But it is first take on a Feel Good Friday. I'm Molly Karam holding things down here in Bristol, CT. Your boys are working on the road. Stephen A. and Max, there they are. How we feeling, fellas?
Where are you, Max? Max got the crew cut looking with the Moses beard going on, the goatee and stuff like that. Where are you, Max? And why
you
are
really
you
like
not
to study my look, don't you? I'm in sunny Palm Springs, California.
Why? What's up? Were you doing it? What are you doing it?
Well, Francisco Vargas, who is in the fight of the year like every year, is probably going to be in another one tomorrow night on HBO, and I'm here to cover it.
Well, you know, all right. This is the one thing I do defer to you with when it comes to the boxing. I am the pupil. You know, I'm the pupil. You are the professor. You're allowed to get one thing right in that regard, Max Kellerman.
Oh, here
You're
we
the
go.
professor.
Here we go.
I defer.
Gentlemen, let's get into it, shall we? Last night on Inside the NBA, Hall of Famer Shaq and Charles Barkley were not on the same page when it comes to LeBron's latest comments directed toward Cavs brass on their roster not being suited to compete.
There is something fundamentally wrong.
Something fundamentally
like with
wrong.
saying that he wants more.
You played for a team that had big four. You forgot about that? You, Akeem, Scotty.
First of all,
it doesn't matter.
That wasn't
even close.
That
doesn't matter. No, it's not even close.
It doesn't matter.
We were all old men way past our prime.
It doesn't matter.
This guy just won the championship. He got a young Kyrie Irving and a terrific Kevin Love. And
but it takes more than that to win the championship.
They just won the championship. What do you mean it takes more?
Okay.
They just won the championship.
First of all, you know nothing about going back-to-back. I do and Kenny do. You listen, teams are coming at his head. They need more. They need a big shot Bob. They need a guy like Kenny Smith. They need a playmaker like LeBron said. It's only inappropriate because he went to the media. He should have went to Dan Gilbert and said, hey, I need help, boom, boom, boom. And they should have had a private conversation.
How good is that show? Max, are you on Team Shaq or Team Barkley here?
Love me some Charles Barkley, but Shaq is 100% right on this one. This ain't hard. When Charles Barkley says they just won, what are you talking about? They won a championship. And Shaq says, hey, when you go back-to-back, which he and Kenny Smith know about, they're coming for your head. He doesn't mean that just in metaphorically and everything. He's talking about stuff that actually happens. When you win a championship, the other teams in the league try to get better, try to counteract what you've done. So the Warriors, who are already great, 73-win team, defending champions, largely because LeBron's crew got hurt going into the previous finals, they went out and got Kevin Durant. That's what he means by coming for your head. Not just that they're extra motivated, but the team that you had to struggle, come back down 3-1 on the road, final minutes, final possessions of Game 7. That team that you just beat in one of the all-time classic series by the skin of your teeth just added Kevin Durant. What did you do? And it's not like LeBron is coming out saying, hey, we need Kevin Durant or someone like that. He's saying, can I have a backup point guard so I don't have to lead the league in minutes? By the way, LeBron's in his 14th season. He's on pace to lead the league in minutes per game. If he did that, he would be like no one else in their 14th season has ever led the league in minutes per game. LeBron would be the first. So not only if you want to win a championship in Cleveland, but if you want any longevity out of LeBron in that location and continued success, maybe they should listen to him. Shaq's 100% right. As I said yesterday, to quote Jay-Z, we don't believe you. You need more people. The Warriors got KD. What did the Cavs go out and do?
Max Kellerman, I disagree with you when you say that it's not difficult. It's easy to surmise that Shaq is right and Charles Barkley is wrong. I think it's very, very difficult because on one hand, I totally get where Shaq is coming from when he sits there and says you do need more people. No question about that. And he said that LeBron was wrong to go to the media. He's right about that. The flip side to it is that I didn't find much wrong about what Charles Barkley had to say. And I'm going to break it down to you this way, Max Kellerman. The Cleveland Cavaliers spent $54 million in luxury tax dollars last year. They're on pace right now to spend at least $27 million in luxury tax dollars. Now, obviously, when LeBron James talked about departing from Miami and coming back to Cleveland, he got a promise from Gilbert that there would be no limitations to spending whatever it took to field the team that he fielded. So far, Dan Gilbert is doing that. There's nothing wrong with LeBron James reminding him, albeit it should have been done privately as opposed through the media. Here's where Charles Barkley said something very, very profound without really elaborating on it. He sat up there and said that you're the champion. You're the greatest player in the world. How much stuff do you want? Stop whining. Because that's when it harkens us back to the history of LeBron James and how we can't ignore it. You depart Cleveland and you go to join Bosh and D. Wade in Miami. You conveniently leave Miami at a time when Kyrie Irving is ready to ascend. Plus, you put it out there that you wanted Kevin Love, and everybody and their mother knew that Cleveland was going to get Kevin Love from the moment that LeBron James had decided to come to Cleveland. So it was a foregone conclusion that you were departing a big three for what essentially was perceived as another big three. You go to a finals where both of them are hurt, so you lose that finals. You lucked up when Draymond Green got suspended in last year's NBA finals, and you come back from 3-1 and you win that. Now they go out and get Kevin Durant. Certainly you have a point in saying, if you're LeBron James, that we need to get better. We need to respond to the challenge that stands before us in Golden State. But that's not what he's saying. What he's saying instead is that we haven't done enough. When in fact, you're the champion, the owner is spending money, and we get to look at you. Not only are you the best player in the world, you're the self-proclaimed best player in the world. It's one thing for Max Kellerman, myself, and others to say it. LeBron James was on a record a couple of finals ago, looking everybody in the camera and said, because I'm the best player in the world. Plain and simple. There's no doubt about it. There's nobody better than me. So when you are on the record saying that, even though we agree with you, when you are on the record saying that, that gives credence to the argument that Barkley is coming up with. Then what the hell you chirping for? Shut the hell up, go out there and get it done.
No.
Go ahead.
No, it gives credence to LeBron and now Shaq's argument that LeBron's not out there saying, yo, go get me Chris Paul. He's saying, get me a backup point guard precisely because of the reason that you point out. Because LeBron James knows, in the end, history's not going to want to know whether or not he had a backup point guard. They're going to look and say, you had Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, and a good team even around that, and you couldn't get it done. You lost 2 out of 3 to Golden State. He knows that's what the broad view is going to be. So that he gives himself the best chance to win, he's saying, I need to worry about the details. Because the details matter, not to history, but in order for me to make history. I need a backup point guard. That's all I'm asking for. It's not too much.
Yeah, but I think you're missing my point. I'm not saying that LeBron James is wrong for highlighting what he needs. I'm saying the manner in which he handled it is what Charles Barkley and them are attacking. It's not like they're sitting there and saying you don't need a backup point guard, don't get him anybody, stand there alone and handle your business with what you have. That's the way that it goes. That's not what's being said here. What's being said here, you sitting up there and you talking to the media. You've publicized the acrimony that exists within the organization. You've done X,
Let
Y,
me
and
ask
Z.
you something, Stephen A.
Hold on. And why are you doing that for a backup point guard when we literally have about 3+ weeks before the trading deadline, and LeBron James has been in this league long enough to know that usually right before the trading deadline is when things get done. The fact that you're sitting up there and saying something in the month of January, it's not just about the personnel, Max. There seems to be something else there that you're pushing out front and center, and now it's come back to bite him because it's left us all looking at LeBron James and saying, okay, what about you?
Okay, now let me ask you something. It's not a rhetorical question. It's a genuine question.
Sure.
The way I interpret it is that LeBron James has had these discussions in private, does not have confidence that something's going to get done, and says, okay, I have to apply public pressure to get this done. You hear all kinds of things. I'm not asking you to report on it one way or another, but have you heard that?
Yes, I have heard that, but here's the problem with it, Max Kellerman. They have a history of getting things done because they're standing here as the reigning defending champions. Not only that, LeBron James was on a record saying they did the job. Not only that, once he said what he said publicly, he backtracked by saying, I think they've done a good job. It's just that I don't want us to get complacent. So if your only concern was complacency, how do you justify that when they just acquired Kyle Korver? And how do you justify that when they have almost a month before the trading deadline expires? That's the kind of stuff that gives credence to the Charles Barkleys and the Kenny Smiths of the world who spoke up about it, because they're saying, wait a minute, where is this coming from? Because you're the champions and you have weeks coming up. Sure, go ahead. I'm listening.
I have a theory on that. J.R. Smith goes down. The team goes out and gets a three-point specialist. LeBron at that point looks and goes, if I'm LeBron, I look and I go, yeah, J.R. Smith is important. By the way, actually on perimeter defense, too, amazingly, in the last couple of years. But J.R. Smith is important, but we have guys who collectively can cover for what he does. We don't necessarily need a Kyle Korver. In terms of the priorities of what we need. You can use Kyle Korver, of course. What we need is a backup point guard. And they didn't go out and get it. So LeBron, who also acts as the GM of that team, let's be honest, he wasn't going to come to Cleveland unless, you know, they get the pick, Andrew Wiggins, and he goes, oh, you can flip that into Kevin Love? Okay. I know it happened after the fact, but I'm sure conversations were had. You get Kevin Love with Kyrie Irving, I'll be in Cleveland. LeBron is also acting essentially as the GM of the team. And what the GM is saying, who knows better what he's looking at than anyone in basketball, he's saying, I need a backup point guard. You got to make this happen. And if he's not getting satisfaction in terms of what he's hearing privately, okay, I got to bring this to the court of public opinion. Put some pressure on you.
Yeah, you can put some pressure on them, but what I'm saying to you is that you put pressure on people when they haven't got it done. But when they've got it done and you're on record saying they got it done, what are you chirping for when the trading deadline is almost a month away? That's the whole point in all of this. And so when you have a Dan Gilbert or you have a David Griffin, for example, more so David Griffin because he's really caught in the middle, because it's really about the friction that exists between LeBron James and Dan Gilbert, what you're sitting there saying is, wait a minute, we're making phone calls every day. You've been a veteran in this league for 13 plus years. You know good and damn well that just makes my job harder if you're going out there and chirping because other guys are going to sit up there and hold out because they're going to look at you bringing pressure to bear, and it's going to make it that much more difficult for us to make a move.
Stephen A., that's the point. That's the point which Barkley didn't bring up, is if you want to criticize LeBron for making it public, it's that you're undermining the leverage that the GM has to make a better deal. And when you are capped out the way Cleveland is and you don't have a ton of assets that you can move for something like that because you're so top-heavy, you really don't need your superstar undermining the leverage of the assets you do have, because now everyone in the league knows he's demanding that you make a trade for a backup point guard. That's a valid point, not one that Charles Barkley made.
Stephen A., I want to take the conversation one step further here. How much damage has LeBron done complaining publicly to his reputation?
Well, I think that it's damage that could be alleviated if he goes out there and win again. Let's face reality, winning solves it, Molly. But the flip side to it is that I do believe that some damage has been done to him in this respect. You seem to want to have everything laid out for you before you win a championship, which every player wants, but you've publicized it more than most people. LeBron James right now has us thinking about how he departed Cleveland for Miami, has us thinking about how he departed Miami to go back to Cleveland, has us thinking about, where's he going to go from here if he elects not to end his career in Cleveland. He has us thinking about Kevin Durant leaving for Golden State. He has us thinking about stars trying to assemble with one another and how the league felt the need to try to impede that to the best of their ability with these latest collective bargaining negotiations, because the element of competition, I'm at my best. I'm the man. Who's the competition? Instead of looking forward to going up against cats, you've basically proven that you're responsible for creating a culture where competition is dissipated and diminished because dudes who are rough riders and first-tier stars want to join forces with one another instead of competing against one another. LeBron James at this particular moment has us thinking that he's the ringleader for all of that, instead of us thinking about Kevin Durant electing to go to Golden State on his own. Now we're thinking he went there because of what LeBron did and how he made it okay for everybody else to do it. Those kind of things can assist in sort of damaging a reputation, but it can be alleviated if you win, but it's a death knell if you lose.
I don't think he's done any damage at all to his reputation. Look, there's one way of looking at LeBron, which some people do, that he is anti-competitive somehow, because he didn't just wait for the GM to do it, right? Like Magic Johnson is born into a league where he joins a team with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and they eventually draft James Worthy. Michael Jordan gets Scottie Pippen and one of the great coaches of all time, and eventually, and then Horace Grant, and then eventually Dennis Rodman in the second iteration of that run. Larry Bird gets Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish and Bill Walton off the bench, not to mention Dennis Johnson, a finals MVP, Danny Ainge, a three-point specialist, all those things. Those championship teams happened for those guys. They didn't have to play GM. And LeBron James, who obviously is a student of history, says, okay, do I want to be known as Charles Barkley or Karl Malone or John Stockton or someone like that who, wow, he was great. He didn't win a championship, but she sure did tough it out. Amazing, because Cleveland was not getting it done, did not make the trade for Amari Stoudemire when LeBron wanted him to, et cetera. Does he want to be one of those guys, or is he going to take matters into his own hands, empower himself, and create a legacy of, okay, you're not going to do it for me, I will do for myself, which he's done. He's now a three-time champion. I think LeBron James' legacy ultimately won't be anti-competitive in the sense that he's joining up with other superstars because his team can't get it done for him, the general management and ownership. I think his legacy is going to be empowering labor. He's empowered players in a way they've never been empowered before.
All right, but here's the part that I think you're missing. The points that you brought up would have been valid if he never captured the championship. The fact that you're sitting here as a three-time champion, but you still find yourself headlining a story like this is not a good look. Not to mention the fact that, again, I never had a problem. Me have a problem with LeBron James leaving for South Beach. Are you kidding me? I'm mad that he left South Beach and went back to Cleveland. Okay, so I certainly never had a problem.
That's because you want to go to South Beach. I certainly
never had a problem with him departing from Cleveland because I also understand that there was some personal issues that affected his decision initially as well, and we can't ignore that. But the flip side to it, again, is I'm not faulting him for anything, but you have to, as you use the word optics on many, many occasions. The optics in this particular equation looks bad because you're the reigning defending NBA champion, because it was assisted by an ownership that lived up to their promise to you to go out there and spend money. Now, certainly there's a $9 million trade exception that they could have used along with other things, and there's no doubt about that. But the flip side is they have a history, a recent history of doing what you've asked, and there's still time to address the concern. So you being a three-time champion, you being the reigning defending NBA champion right now, and still feeling the need to complain when they can turn around and say, okay, look what we've done. We actually did keep our word to you. It seems like LeBron James is almost hitting the panic button because you're scared you're going to lose to Golden State. And I think that's the thing that's going on.
And he should be scared. Look at that Golden State team. LeBron is very smart. He knows they're up against it. And in terms of the lasting impact to his reputation, or even temporary impact, okay, there's a month to go, you keep saying, before the trade deadline. There are weeks to go before the trade deadline. He doesn't need to overreact now. Well, if, in fact, they get it done and they get him a backup point guard again, he's not asking for Russell Westbrook here. He's asking for a Dellavedova type. That's not seen as a big deal. It's seen as a reasonable request, I think, by most reasonable people. If they get it, and people will forget all about this, win or lose in the finals. They'll forget all about the fact that he asked for a backup point guard. And if he doesn't get it and they lose, they'll say, aha, LeBron was right. They needed a backup point guard. I don't see where this damages him. He has set an example for other players. Your fate is largely in your own hands. There are rules that keep you in certain places, on a certain team where you have very little say in the matter. But if you can last long enough in the league where you acquire your free agent rights, you can take your destiny into your own hands. You have the players have more power even than they realize. And LeBron is leading by example.
Well, here's where Max is absolutely right. At the end of the day, Max, what you're saying is that LeBron James is not just a basketball player, he's a businessman. And a lot of these guys are businessmen. They're not ageless veterans, sticking around, indebted to an organization, who are, dependent on them showing gratitude for their years of service. They ain't trying to be those dudes. They're trying to be business partners. They're trying to be businessmen. LeBron James certainly has facilitated that and deserves a lot of credit for it. But when you're in the throes of competing for a championship and you're the reigning defending NBA champion, it is just not a good look for you to be sitting there talking about what you don't have when there's still time for you to get it and defend your crown. It's a bit premature on his part, and I think he mishandled it.
On that note, gentlemen, there's another subject in a team that's talking about what they don't have. One of your favorites. Coming up, more melodrama in New York City as the Knicks seem to be desperate to trade Carmelo Anthony before the deadline. The current target team, the Clippers. We'll get into that in a little bit. And it's hard to forget when 2 years ago, Malcolm Butler made this incredible interception to steal the Super Bowl win for the Patriots. Well, now Julio Jones says he's not scared of facing him.